Hello, my name is David Dodd. I am the President and Chief Executive Officer of the International Sustainable Resilience Center, a specialist center of excellence in public-private partnerships for resilience, one of 8 specialist centers of excellence under the UNECE International PPP Center of Excellence. I am involved in a day-to-day basis in recovery from disasters. But the global economy has never seen anything of this scale and magnitude before. COVID-19 has severely impacted the economies of nations worldwide. And recognizing that fact, a group of specialist centers, all of the specialist centers under the International Center of Excellence for Public-Private Partnerships, came together and decided to try to do something about that. So we went on a journey of discovery and research. My center prepared a concept paper outlining the enormous challenges facing the global economy in making adaptation to 9 primary sectors of the economy, including healthcare, of course, education, manufacturing, logistics and trade and distribution, entertainment and culture and tourism, and many others that really had not faced the reality yet of what will occur and what will need to occur. As we know, global governments and their central banks have worked very hard to offset the economic damage. But there's another cost to this, and that is the cost of adaptation. And looking at resilience, it really is adapting to whatever is coming or has occurred that could negatively impact an economy and people in a particular place. So looking at adaptation and looking at the cost of that, we developed a concept paper outlining the challenges in these sectors and also suggesting a way to bring together the global development banking system, organizations that are involved with and care about the global situation, and other organizations that are engaged and involved in public-private partnerships. And in particular, very, very important, people first public-private partnerships, which is a system that's been developed by the International Public-Private Partnerships Center of Excellence and the specialist centers to ensure that public-private partnerships don't only provide value for money, but that they provide value for people. And there are 5 outcomes that the people first principles espouse. Transparency, making sure everyone knows what everyone is doing so that there's no hint of corruption or ill intent in developing these public-private partnerships. Participation of the people that are engaged and involved, but also the people that will be affected by these public-private partnerships, which is very important. Equity, making sure that everyone has an equal chance to participate in these projects. Accountability, which is tied to transparency, but is also making certain that the project is feasible, is applicable, and can be developed without any problems financially. The last is sustainability and resilience, ensuring that the project has a minimum impact on the environment, that it is built with sustainability in mind, and that it is resilient so that other costs down the line can be prevented and the project can be ensured to have a long and useful life. Integrating those into these adaptation public-private partnerships can set a new standard for how PPPs may be able to help make countries, regions, the world more resilient, more able to withstand disaster. One of the real issues below the surface in COVID-19 is the impact on provincial, state, and local government around the world. These impacts are severe, and governments no longer are going to be able to bail out their economies by themselves. What they need to do is implement proactive economic development strategies and utilize the power of public-private partnerships to help them get through these periods of time and adapt their economies and their industries to the new normal. I have two examples of that. One is Puerto Rico, which is a commonwealth of the United States that was facing a very dire circumstance after two major hurricanes, two major earthquakes, and COVID-19 all wreaked havoc on the government's economy in Puerto Rico. Led by industry, the pharmaceutical industry had a very strong presence and still does have a strong presence in Puerto Rico. They went to the government and said, look, let's do something together to try to change this trajectory. And with the understanding that many vital pharmaceuticals will be brought back, the manufacturing will be brought back to the US because of the scare that happened over COVID. Let's take advantage of that movement and let's make Puerto Rico more competitive. So one of the things that they did is got an exemption on the air cabotage laws, which means that Puerto Rico can serve as a transshipment point for bringing in items and then shipping them back out. And the exemption exempts that from being taxed or dutied. And with that, air cargo traffic could increase. And increasing air cargo traffic is going to be a competitive advantage for Puerto Rico in attracting pharmaceutical and life sciences industries. Again, they already had a strong presence. They had suppliers. They want to attract more suppliers. They have a skilled workforce, many of whom worked in pharmaceutical manufacturing facilities that were moved for one reason or another. So they had have a workforce, and they are putting together training programs for more. That's an example of where industry stands up and says, we want to do this, and the government responds. The second is an exercise where the government says, we want to increase broadband capacity and utilization. And that was in Mexico. And the government is undertaking a plan to do just that. Seeing that and understanding that there was support, not just at the federal level, but more importantly at the state and local level, the International Sustainable Resilience Center, my group, put together a group of expertise in both digital capacity, installing new broadband through a public-private partnership, and also what they call digital transformation, which is helping businesses and community organizations to transform their operations and their business models from analog, as we say, to digital, where they can sell goods and services not only within their community, but anywhere in the world. So this has received widespread support. It's being implemented now, and we feel confident that it will be successful. But the support comes from the state and comes especially from the local government, the municipalities that are really the equivalent of counties or provinces in other nations, municipalities in Mexico. And we're very confident that this will be successful and will help greatly in this adaptation that must occur to economies around the world. It's an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this international PPP conference sponsored by Toyo University, and I welcome the opportunity to answer any questions.